It's 5 a.m. in Tokyo. But something far more dangerous is about to happen in this calm city. Something that will bring chaos to hundreds of locations simultaneously. An act so brazen, it will stun not just Japan, but the entire world. Across the country, in cities as far apart as Fukuoka, Nagoya, and Osaka, a large, meticulously coordinated group of over 100 criminals is about to pull off one of the most daring heists in modern history. Their target? The thousands of ATMs scattered across convenience stores. Their aim? 1.4 billion yen, the equivalent of $13 million, all to be stolen in under 3 hours. But how does a group that large manage to hit over 1,400 machines, flawlessly, and vanish without a trace? Months before the heist, in a dimly lit room somewhere in Southeast Asia, a mastermind sits across a table from a contact with ties to organized crime. The contact hands over a small USB stick. On it are thousands of pieces of data, fresh off the black market, credit card details stolen from a bank in South Africa. These aren't ordinary credit cards. They're cloned cards, engineered to bypass the usual safety mechanisms, each one containing just enough data to make legitimate withdrawals, designed to be used only once and then discarded. For months, the masterminds have been planning this day, coordinating with international crime syndicates and domestic operatives. They've scouted convenience stores with accessible ATMs, studied shift schedules of security personnel, and monitored the police response times. Nothing is left to chance. The strategy? Use stolen credit card data to make thousands of quick withdrawals. They need to move fast, not just to avoid detection, but to prevent the ATMs from running out of cash or exceeding withdrawal limits. The criminals carefully recruit locals in Japan to carry out the physical side of the heist. They select individuals who can blend into the local population, people who know the streets and understand the rhythms of the city. Some are petty criminals looking for a quick payout, while others are part of Japan's underworld, linked to Yakuza groups. Over 100 operatives are brought in, trained, and assigned specific routes to hit ATMs in rapid succession. As the sun begins to rise over Tokyo, the streets start to come alive with the usual hustle and bustle of morning commuters. But in the shadows, scattered across the city, small groups of men and women are lurking. Some of them blend into the background. A businessman in a suit, a woman in casual office attire. Others are more conspicuous, wearing baggy clothes and baseball caps pulled low over their eyes. At precisely 5:30 a.m., the first wave of criminals begin their mission. The ATMs, still loaded with cash from the weekend, beep and whir as the withdrawals start pouring in. 100,000 yen here, 200,000 yen there. It seems innocent enough. Just another person withdrawing money on their way to work. But it's happening everywhere. By 6 a.m., they're moving at a breakneck pace. Each group of criminals is moving from one ATM to the next, coordinating their actions down to the second. With each successful transaction, they pocket bundles of cash. No alarms go off. No one suspects a thing. After all, it's just people using ATMs. But these are not random acts. Every person involved has been trained to execute this flawlessly. They have memorized their routes. Each withdrawal is precisely timed to avoid any red flags that could alert authorities. At a convenience store in Shibuya, one of the thieves punches in the pin for yet another withdrawal. The ATM spits out 100,000 yen. Just as they slip the money into their pocket, their phone buzzes. A quick glance confirms the message. Change route. Someone from the command center has noticed increased foot traffic near their next ATM. They adjust their course on the fly, heading instead to a quieter location. Across town in Ikebukuro, a similar scenario unfolds. Two men in dark hoodies walk into a Lawson convenience store, casually approach an ATM, and begin withdrawing cash. As the man pockets the money, the other keeps an eye on the security cameras. making sure their faces are never caught clearly on the tape. By 6:30 a.m., roughly an hour into the heist, the total stolen has already crossed 600 million yen, and yet, the police have no clue that anything is wrong. There are no reports of suspicious activity, no frantic calls from bank employees. But inside one of the world's larger Japanese banks, an algorithm is about to detect something unusual. A surge in ATM withdrawals is flagged by the system. It's too early for this volume of activity, especially spread across so many different locations. 7 a.m. Tokyo. Inside the bank's headquarters, security personnel scramble to figure out what's happening. A technician in his early 30s stares at his monitor, puzzled by the sheer volume of transactions. As more data comes in, the picture becomes clearer. These aren't isolated incidents. Someone is hitting their ATMs across the country, and they're doing it fast. The technician picks up the phone and calls his manager.
What do you mean, every ATM?
It's not just us. I've checked with a few other banks. They're saying the same thing. We're under attack. By 8 a.m., it's over. In less than 3 hours, the criminals have stolen 1.4 billion yen, around $13 million. The heist has been pulled off without a hitch. The authorities are only just starting to grasp the scale of the crime, but by the time they're fully aware, the criminals are long gone. The heist has made headlines across the globe. Japanese news outlets describe it as one of the most coordinated and sophisticated crimes in recent history. Security camera footage from the ATMs provides some clues, but the criminals were careful. Many wore hats, masks, or sunglasses to obscure their faces. The footage shows them making quick, clean withdrawals and then disappearing into the streets. Days later, the first arrest starts to happen. Some of the smaller players are caught trying to exchange their stolen yen for other currencies. But the masterminds, the ones who orchestrated the entire operation, remain out of reach. They've already left Japan, the stolen cash laundered and distributed across various criminal networks. The cloned credit cards used in the heist are traced back to a data breach at a South African bank. Japanese authorities reach out to Interpol and other international agencies, hoping to track down the ringleaders behind the operation. But nonetheless, the police are left chasing shadows. In the weeks following the heist, experts from around the world try to make sense of what happened. How did over 100 criminals coordinate an attack on such a massive scale without even getting caught? Japanese police continue their investigation, but many believe that the true masterminds behind the heist will never be caught. As for Japan, the heist leaves a lasting mark on the nation's security protocols. Banks across the country overhaul their systems, installing new anti-fraud measures and tightening regulations on international transactions. But for many, the damage has already been done. The 2016 ATM heist is a reminder of just how vulnerable even the most advanced societies can be. 3 hours, 1,400 ATMs, 1.4 billion yen. It's a heist that still baffles authorities, a feat of coordination and precision that few could have imagined possible.